Hello humans, welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, we shape and polish gemstones using a Dremel. If that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing. Today we're going to be working on this beautiful piece of Coober peady Australian opal, and there's some great color showing off there. When you weigh it out, the starting weight of the stone is 1.18 carats, and when we measure it, it is 7 millimeters by 8 millimeters, and then about 3 millimeters tall. When we shine a flashlight through it, you can see that there is some dirt inclusions that are pretty shallow on one side, but there is a bit of dirt that goes deeper into the middle of the stone. So if you want to see how this gets shaped and polished, stay tuned. So starting out here, I wanted to try to get rid of that dirt that went in a little bit deeper first. So I went in on my diamond centered bit here that I got from Suva Lapidary, and I worked on it from all angles, kind of turning it around as I went to make sure that as I was taking it off, that it was being taken off evenly, so that I can also see kind of how the color goes with it. And once I got through that part, I could really tell how I'm going to be able to shape it. So this is what the stone looked like when I was able to get rid of all that dirt that tunneled through it. And as you can see, there's a little bit of dirt left there, but it has great color. And I wanted to try to have this stone fit a ring that I have that has 4mm by 5mm squares in the ring. So I took my stencil that I had made at home by kind of cutting that shape and size into a piece of plastic, and I used my Sharpie to mark the shape on the back of the stone, the part that I had just flattened. And you can see the shape of the Sharpie piece here. And using my hands, I'm just trying to get this into a nice rectangular shape to make it a bit more pleasing before I decided to dop this piece, because it being such a small stone to work with and such a small shape that I want it to fit, I really am going to need to dop this piece. Now, if I had it at this point, I would be using some dopping wax, which you can get some great wax from Riley Gunn, or otherwise known as 53 Frogs on Opal auctions, which is where I have gotten my dopping wax that I got more recently. But at this point in time, I did not have that dopping wax, so I ended up dopping it with super glue. But something to keep in mind as I was shaping this by hand is I would turn the stone around and work on shaping the sides kind of in every angle to make sure that those sides definitely were flat, because if I overstepped the amount of stone that I was grinding away in this, then it would be too small for the setting. And if I underdid it, it would be too large for the setting. But once you dop it, you can take the stone and kind of hold it up to where you want it to be in your particular setting, but it can pop off into that setting. And if you have something that has a closed back, then you're going to have to shatter that to get it out. So definitely need to be careful when doing that. This is what it looked like when I had just barely got the sides kind of shaped in and sort of gotten it into a flatter, more puck-like shape, and you can really see that there is great color happening inside of it, and once we start polishing the stone, it will really come out to play a bit more. So since it is such a small stone, I did a lot of the shaping and checking of the size of the stone on the black Nova Point, because the black Nova Point and the brown Nova Points do take away a lot of the stone when you're working on it. So when you're working on something as small as this, you really should just do the bare bones shaping on the diamond center bit and then kind of do the rest on the Nova Points here, keeping in mind how much the next progressions of grits are going to, make it smaller. So I'm kind of going on it to flatten the sides of it a bit, and then I'm going in it in a circular motion on the face to kind of round it out, kind of twisting it, holding one hand at the bottom of the stick and one hand at the top, touching the Nova Point with my finger while my hand is wet to make sure that I'm not burning out my diamond bits here, because these are wet working tips. You really want to make sure that they are staying wet at all times. Now you can work with your stones totally submerged in water with certain types of Dremels, and if I wanted to, I could do that with my Dremel 3000 that I have here. But something that I enjoy about working with the stone out of the water is that I can really get a good gauge on how polished and how shaped the stone really is. Whereas when you work underwater, you get more of the dust dispersing in the water, and it's kind of harder to see what you're doing after a certain point. But moving on to my diamond lapidary wax-based pastes here on felt tips, you need to keep in mind that these lapidary pastes will take away a certain amount of the stone as well. So when you're working on such a small stone, you really don't need to take very much time on it to get it polished. And as you can see here, this is in real time. This is not sped up. I really only spent a few seconds on the stone altogether with each grit of this diamond paste, because it really didn't need very much polishing. And if you have something with an open back, you will want to pop your stone off the stick and polish up the back as well. But the particular ring that I'm trying to fit does not have an open back, and it has beveling edges. So you're not going to see the back in the finished product because of how opaque this stone is, so I'm not going to take the time to polish the back. Something else I should say is that I did end up going through a couple of stones trying to fit this setting, which is indeed the setting from a couple of videos ago with that dark Australian opal that I cut that was too small. So before this stone that you're seeing, there was two stones that I tried to compare the size inside of the setting, that they got stuck inside of the setting, and I had to break the stone to get them out. Like I was saying before, you do really need to be careful and make sure that it doesn't go all the way inside of it. Unless it has prong edges and an open back, then you're fine. But with something like what I'm working with, it can be really risky, and it was really, devastating for me to break those stones because they were so beautiful. I tried to get them out in one piece, but both of them just totally shattered as I was trying to get them out, and I ended up bending the setting and having to bend the setting back. So that was unfortunate, and keep that in mind. But This is what the finished stone looks like on this one, guys, and it really is beautiful. It has great greens and reds, it's got some blues going on, and it's real fiery. When we weigh it out, the finished weight of the stone is 0.28 carats. So it's a really small stone. We ended up losing 0.9 carats, but it is exactly the shape that I need it to be to fit the setting, and it even has the corner that has been polished down to not have such a sharp edge just to fit that. So I'm really excited to show you guys the ring when it's all filled up. And now it's time for giveaway winners. So I will be showing the winners of each parcel on screen, and if you guys just email me at this email address with your shipping details, I will ship those out to you guys as soon as possible. Congratulations to you winners, and those who didn't win, better luck next time. I will have more giveaways in the future, and thank you to everybody who participated. I really do appreciate it, and I hope that you winners really enjoy what happens with your winnings. Thank you guys so much for watching this far into the video. If you are still watching, you really should give this video a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, you really should subscribe. I know 87% of you aren't. Leave a comment under this video. I love comments and I almost always reply. And share this with your friends so we can make our community bigger and stronger. And turn on notifications if you don't have them on already, and I'll see you guys next time I post a video. Later.